The naughty list. A few years ago, I did something terrible. Sometimes I really wish I didn't. Something that I can never take back. It all started when my girlfriend, well, ex-girlfriend, broke up with me. I know this might seem trivial and just a part of life and growing as a person. However, unfortunately for me, it had the complete opposite effect. I know you all will think that I'm childish and just needed to take it on the chin and deal with it. And you might be right. But I didn't. I just didn't. I was hurt. More than hurt. I was offended. Insulted. I mean, how could she? After everything I'd done for her. It was me who gave her a place to live. It was me who helped her pay off her debts. It was me who helped her get a job. And after all of that, she wants to throw it all back in my face. I wasn't gonna go to allow that to go unpunished. I know. I know it was petty, and I was wrong. I was so very wrong. But you have to understand, I was desperate. I was hurting deeply. It honestly felt as though my heart was aching. It would throb so hard I honestly thought at any point it would explode and kill me. I know it sounds dramatic, and I'm honestly not looking for sympathy. I'm not. I don't deserve it. I'm not the victim here. Well, not anymore. I made sure of that, and I'm sorry. So sorry. I wish I just took my own life instead. Then maybe none of this would have ever happened. I was depressed and furious. I couldn't even sleep. I was just so frustrated and angry. I honestly could feel my body shaking with rage. So I got up. I got up with all that hatred and darkness in my heart. I booted up my laptop. I wasn't and am not a stranger to the dark web. I've spent countless hours trying and failing to navigate it to quell my boredom. I only ever found the usual rabbit holes, falling into the typical drug and honey trap sites and forums. Lots and lots of forums. And although I didn't really know what I was looking for or even where to find it if I did, in truth, subconsciously, I guess in some way I did know. I just wanted her to hurt. I wanted her to hurt like she hurt me. I wanted her to feel the embarrassment I had felt and suffered at her hands. My original plan, although very distasteful and wrong of me, wasn't malicious in intent, at least not in a violent way. I just wanted to humiliate her like she humiliated me. I still had some photos and videos of her from our time together. You know, the personal and intimate kind of videos and pictures of her. And in my pent-up, angry and depressed state, I thought it was a good idea to use these against her. I see now that I was wrong from the start, but I wish that's just all that I had done. As awful as it may seem, it was nothing compared to what I actually did. I couldn't find what I was looking for. I just couldn't find it. I wish I'd given up, but of course I didn't. I kept digging and digging, clicking link after link until eventually I clicked on a link and I found something that caught my attention. It was a forum called the Naughty List. On it read one question: do you know someone who has been bad? If so, maybe you should put him on the naughty list. Perfect, I thought. This has to be it. I'll upload all the personal photos and videos on there, and maybe even link her social medias. Then we'll see who's laughing. I thought about adding her address, but as she's back living with her mother. Even I draw the line there. And I know, how noble, right? I am so pathetic. The forum wasn't what I was expecting though. You couldn't just upload to their homepage. There were different sections to it, or punishments as they called it. I remember thinking, how dramatic. How dumb and naive I was. There were several different sections. Elf on a Shelf, Krampus Cramps, and Frozen Fields, among others. Yeah, I know. Very Christmassy, right? I guess that's why I didn't think it was that serious. A very schoolboy mistake. And as you all know, mistakes always have consequences. Anyway, with the sections, Elf on a Shelf kind of made me crack a half smile, but that's not what I went with. I chose something called Sleigh Snatchers. I don't know why I did it. It was just kind of funny to me. After clicking on it, I had to wait a good minute and a half before this bright white page loaded up, filled with a few black text boxes, and text box that read, "Santa's waiting to write up his naughty list. Please fill in the details and he'll do the rest." Cute, I thought. I just thought it was kind of stupid, but that's what I did. I filled it in regardless. Name, age, birthday, links to the person's social medias. It was all there. Everything I was so desperately looking for. And of course, photo uploads. Jackpot. I remember slimmingly smiling to myself, half cackling in the process. It wouldn't allow me to upload any videos, but the photos were more than enough for me. It also asked for the person's address, but as I previously stated, I wasn't really ready to go that far. But I did write in her hometown. Our hometown. Something I really wish I didn't do. I just wish I didn't do any of it. After I had finished putting in her information, without even moments hesitation, I clicked submit. After a few seconds, a little text box appeared asking, "Are you sure? Santa won't forget. He checks his list twice. All names are final." I smugly pressed yes. And that was that. Perfect, I thought, until I was redirected to another page. The page took a few minutes to load, but when it did, it caught me off guard. It said simply, "Thank you for submitting to the naughty list. We really appreciate it. Sit back, relax, and Santa will sleigh snatch those ho-ho-hos. Santa will empty his sack and then put them in one. He knows when you've been naughty." This took me back a bit. It took me a few minutes to process what he was actually saying, and I just laughed. As awful as it sounds, it's true. I mean, come on. It was gross and, yeah, admittedly sick, but it was kind of funny. And there's no way that could be real anyway. I didn't care. I had achieved my goal. I thought, job done. It's all uploaded and people will see them and message her on social media. Then she'll be humiliated. She'll be the one pushed down into the dirt. So feeling better about myself, I calmly and confidently shut down and wiped everything correctly, making sure I couldn't be traced or implicated in any way. I was already heavily protected, I knew that. But as anyone who uses the dark web will tell you, it's better to be safe than sorry. The next morning, I woke with the biggest, most disturbing smile I've ever produced. I honestly looked like the grinning Cheshire Cat from Alice in Wonderland. I was so damn pleased with myself looking back on it now. It honestly makes me feel sick to think about. I couldn't wait to see the fruits of my labor. I was so excited to see her suffer. I wanted her to hurt, and I wanted her to know. Well, more accurately, think it was me, but have no way to prove it. I wanted to break her and for her to feel as worthless as she made me feel. But to my absolute disappointment, nothing happened. I waited and waited, but nothing. No angry phone calls or texts, no outraged social media posts, nothing. I thought at first she could be trying to ignore it, or maybe she has reported the abuse and had been told not to engage with any potential troll. I mean, surely it had to have worked, right? There was no way for me to check. I couldn't find that site again even if I tried. Anyone who has searched the deep web will know this to be true. It's just not cataloged, it's a mess. And I only stumbled across it completely by chance in the first place. Oh, how I wish I hadn't. So a few more days go by, and now my excitement has faded. And I feel dejected and genuinely upset that it clearly hasn't worked. Nobody could be so calm if it had, and I couldn't exactly ask her or go check. That would just point the finger straight at me. So after a while, I just gave up. In truth, the whole ordeal has now been tiresome to me, and as sad as it sounds, it had strangely made me feel better, like I had gotten it all out of my system. A few days later, I was awoken to a loud knock at my door. The previous drama of my former relationship had completely escaped my mind at this point, and just for some context, I live alone, and I don't get many visitors, so I was more than annoyed to have been woken up than curious to see who was at my door and for what reason. So you can imagine my shock when I flung the door open, only to be greeted by the stern faces of 2 police officers. Shit, I thought. This is it. I'm going to prison. Everyone is going to think that I'm some kind of freak, which, in all fairness, I guess I was. Am. They asked if they can come in, and of course I obliged, not wanting to make a scene and make things potentially worse for myself. I remember thinking at the time, they've only asked to come in. You're fine. As of right now, I'm not under arrest or anything. So I better see what they want. But what they asked me completely and utterly knocked the wind out of me. When was the last time you saw Katie? I was speechless. And for a second I must have looked like the most guilty and suspicious person in the world. Realizing this, I quickly shook the look of surprise and dread off my face and answered as calmly as I could. Not since we broke up. Around 2 weeks ago, maybe. This was true, but it still didn't save me from their line of inquiry and their barrage of intense scrutiny and questioning. Where were you on the night of December 13th? I told them the truth. At home. Can anyone verify this? I said, well, no, I live alone, but I did get dropped off at home after work by one of my colleagues, which is routine after every shift, so he can, I guess. And what time was this? I told him the truth again. Around 10:30. The cameras at work should show me leaving at about 10:20, and it's only about a 10-minute drive here. Did you leave your property at any point after you returned? No, I said meekly but as authoritatively as I could muster. And there's a camera by my apartment entrance that will show that I'm telling the truth. His face and intense stare of concentration into my eyes seemed to waver and loosen ever so slightly. So I thought I'd push my luck and ask, what's all this about? He stated that although he can't give any details of an ongoing investigation, Katie had been reported missing and had not been seen for close to a week. She was last seen by her mother leaving her home to shop and browse the stores, but never returned. The police officers left soon after that and actually thanked me for my time. They did check the CCTV footage, and with my boss and colleague who confirmed my story and that I was telling the truth. Days turned into weeks and still nothing. It seemed as though she had just vanished into thin air. I couldn't believe it. It couldn't be. Could it? It couldn't have been because of me. I thought maybe it's possible some creep stalked her socials and found her address after I posted them along with the images, but surely it's just had to be a coincidence. That stupid form couldn't be real. I mean, Santa's naughty list? Come on. Get a grip, I thought. The longer it went on, the more horrible I felt. I know I wasn't physically responsible, but in one way or another, I had caused this, or at least put the wheels in motion. I felt just as guilty as if I had done something to her. I mean, this is the girl that I once loved. The girl I still love. And I had done this. I had caused this. And her poor mother. They had been estranged for years, and it was me who finally got them to reconcile. And for what? So I could destroy her worse than she could have possibly ever imagined. I couldn't live with myself. I tried to get on with my life normally, but it was hard. I couldn't sleep. I couldn't eat. And you know something? I knew I deserved it. I would cringe every time I caught myself feeling sorry for myself. I'm not a victim. I'm a monster. A wolf in sheep's clothing. I deserved it, not her. I was selfish. I was disgusting and pathetic. I was weak. I was so very weak. I took to drinking to make myself sleep. Anything to numb the pain. Anything to get the image of her face and the sounds of her screams out of my head. I couldn't go to the police. How could I? If I confessed, my life was as good as over. Selfish as it was, I just didn't believe it would even matter. Maybe I was just being a coward, but it was hopeless. She was gone. I waited every morning for an update. Every no new information today. Update killed me just a little inside. Each and every time. It was torture until one day they did find her. But as I'm sure you all can already tell, the story doesn't have a happy ending. It was weeks, but she was eventually found in an old abandoned factory in the outskirts of the next town over. I just couldn't believe it. I could feel my throat tighten to the point that I was struggling to breathe when I heard the news. Please no, I thought. In my head, I was begging and pleading with whoever, whatever could hear me, that it must be some kind of mistake. A mix-up, that it wasn't, it couldn't be her. But unfortunately, it was no mix-up. There are no mistakes when you answer. Yes, I'm sure. I wanted her to suffer. And I guess I got what I wanted. She was found stuffed down one of the now defunct chimneys. Her body was stuffed inside a sack. A toy sack. I couldn't believe it. I felt sick. I feel sick thinking about it now. This must be some kind of sick fucking joke. I kept trying and failing to convince myself. I felt my body tremble. She was found completely naked. Her body had badly deteriorated at this point, but they knew it was her. They knew because stuck to one of her eye sockets was a piece of paper. A small piece of paper that read, "The naughty list. Katie, you should have been good." I blacked out. I collapsed where I was standing and I hit my head pretty hard. When I regained consciousness, I hoped, I prayed it was just a bad dream. But of course it wasn't. It was real. It was all very real. And it was all because of me. I'm sorry, Katie. I'm so sorry. I'm sorry for what they did to you. I'm sorry for what I did to you. I have to live with that guilt. Not a day goes by that I don't think about confessing or ending my own life. In some sick way, I sometimes think that it would make us even though I know that's not possible. I can't imagine what they did to you, what they put you through. I can't imagine the fear and the terror you must have felt. I can't imagine your final thoughts, or how confused and alone you must have felt. Nothing will ever make up for the torture I subjected the girl I once loved and cherished to. All because of my own ego and misguided sense of pride and self-worth. I wish I could take it all back. I really do. But I can't. And that will sadly never be able to change that. You deserve justice, Katie. You deserve to be able to rest in peace. At the very least, maybe confessing will bring your family some kind of closure. Maybe ending my life will make us even. But regardless of the answer, I'm too much of a coward for it.